Now, without further ado, I would like to pass the time and stage to our moderator, Engineer Eric Chen. So, Engineer Chen, the time is now yours.
Thank you so much. Please have a seat. So it's with great pleasure that we have 4 of our financial regulators with us this morning. And we're going to kickstart with this session, this panel sessions titled, right, The Future of Hong Kong FinTech Development, which is so very important, to the Hong Kong as a whole. And, in these sessions, we're going to explore the latest innovation trends of different segments in the financial industry following the POC subsidy scheme and how we can actually move forward, right, to support the FinTech development. We will also look into, how to support, the financial innovation from a policy perspective. So, shall we get started right away, right? So, as our secretary, Mr. Chris Hui just pointed out, we have supported over 90, FinTech innovation projects in these POC schemes. And over, this period of time, we have seen, so much innovations, coming in. And from your perspective as a regulators, what kinds of innovation, FinTech solutions, the financial sectors are actually looking for? Could I get started with Mr. Nelson Chow,
sure,
from HMA? Thank you.
Sure. First of all, big congratulations for completing the round of POC scheme. And although, most of the cases goes to Elizabeth's organizations, but I think we are equally glad to see more startups are able to collaborate with the incumbents. So in terms of the innovation, on the banking side, I can talk about the banking side and also the payment side, because those are our regulators. So I think we can divide it into 2 stages. We have gone through the first stages, the first 5 years from 2016 to 2020. So when we opened the market to allow more payment providers to enter the market and compete, and I think we all have enjoyed the usage of the consumer voucher, all because of this opening up of the market to allow more e-payment service providers to compete with each other. At the end, actually, the consumers benefits from all this competition. The second example is actually virtual banking. So those are also more towards the client-facing part. So from the payment service providers and the banks, these are actually the newcomers provide more competition, and they have to work harder to gain the benefits, gain the trust of their customers. So the second phase, we just launched the FinTech 2025 strategy. So this is another 5 years plan. So we will, this time round is slightly different from 2017 when we launched the smart banking initiatives. That time, the period of implementation is actually shorter. For example, open API, virtual banking, faster payments, those can be done within 1 or 2 years. But for this time round, we want to, give a forward guidance. You mentioned about policies. It's exactly what we are trying to achieve. We want to give your tenants, also the incumbents, a very clear signal that we want them to collaborate and create more, useful products and services.
And Elizabeth, from the SFC perspective.
Right. Among the, we actually had around nearly half of the applications were for the SFC. So from what we've seen in the applications, mostly they focused on 3 areas in FinTech. So it was wealth tech, virtual assets, and reg tech. So in the wealth tech spec, we've noticed that there are more service providers providing data analytics for AI, robo-advisors, and also chatbots to enhance investor and client experiences, and also for internally for the firms to conduct their own make their investment decisions. So it would enhance performance with the use of this technology. In the virtual asset space, we've seen growing interest in tokenization of assets and also the monitoring that's involved in the ownership and all that. In the RegTech space, we've also seen a lot of developments in KYC and AML angles, data analytics, and also AI in remote client onboarding. And we think that this will also be an ongoing trend.
Wonderful. Definitely, we have actually seen a major interest in both wealth management tech and RegTech in this POC scheme. Now, how about from the insurance industry's perspective, Tony?
All along in the past, the insurance sector has been facing a number of shortcomings. Say, for example, for the life insurance sector, the sector has all along been engaged in insurance intermediaries as the dominant channel. And for the non-life sector, it is just concentrating on some specific line of business and lacking some innovative new product stream here. So we fully understand that the insurtech can help the insurance company to collaborate with every tech company to develop new product lines, creating innovative solutions, enhance the financial inclusiveness, and also narrow the protection gap. So here we see that the proof of concept scheme will help to collaborate different stakeholders and partners to work together and come up to innovative solutions that will help address the shortcomings of the insurance sector.
Thank you, Tony. So we have, more or less, just finished, the POC and all the approvals. So just, with all these learnings and various different innovations coming in, I just want to understand a little bit better from regulator perspective, what would be the major impact, from these POC schemes when we look forward, right? So maybe we can start with John, from EMPF. Although, we don't have, we're still waiting for the Empf Platform, to go on live next year. But, as a whole, this POC is going to have a big, major impact to the whole financial institutions. So maybe from your perspective, please.
Yeah, thank you, Eric. Thank you for inviting me to join this wonderful panel discussion today. Good morning, everyone. As I understand from the Mr. Secretary, there are actually close to 100 approved POC applications, ranging in a wide spectrum of financial services. I think for the first year result, it is a very promising outcome. I think it is a very smart move for the financial institutions to actually work with the fintech enterprises and startups on some impactful and innovative fintech POC projects. I think this would definitely help foster the development of the fintech industry in Hong Kong, and I actually look forward to more and more of such kind of initiative going forward to keep up with the momentum. Thank you.
And Tony?
The proof of concept, as I mentioned, is a meaningful initiative and provide the grant for innovative and constructive ideas to be tested. And we are delighted to see that the insurance player and the tech firm has come up together and put into a lot of the innovative solutions that will bring greater value to the customer as well as the society. So we are pleased to see that successful proof of concept application of InsurTech initiative that are wide-ranging and cover many aspects of the insurance over the value chain. We see that those new ideas and new initiatives will cover in product development, underwriting, distribution, policy administration, and claims management. So just to name a few here. And for example, we see innovative solutions that will be like to test by the insurer with some ESG elements to be integrated into the underwriting philosophy to encourage the ESG value for policyholder with premium incentive as an incentive here. And we see a number of solutions that will using the API technology that will help connection between those analytical information between the different stakeholders and also facilitate the data integration and improve the business operation. So we anticipate that will create a wide adoption of the API technology in the market to drive greater innovation and bring more opportunities for collaborations. So others, I also see that some insurers leverage on the I am Smart technology for KYC authentication as well as the onboarding of the customers. So this will create the compliance in terms of the AML compliance, enhancing the efficiency and also enhance the customer experience. So we are glad to see that the POC initiative demonstrate how the tech company and the insurance company can collaborate and partner together to drive innovations and create value to the community.
Thank you, Tony. And certainly, throughout the POCs, we've seen interesting initiatives, not just within the insurance company, the InsurTech companies initiative, but also cross-sector and cross-border insurance initiatives. And that's definitely a very interesting development that we are seeing. And Elizabeth, from FSC?
Right. As I mentioned previously, the impact was more in the wealth tech, virtual assets, and reg tech space. But I think the true impact of the POC scheme was that it acted as a catalyst for the industry to really look into adopting fintech in their business solutions, to enhance their efficiencies, to improve investor experiences, and to also reduce costs. So I think the true impact is that it has provided a momentum for the industry to continue to develop their fintech areas. And it was very encouraging to see that many rather smaller licensed firms were partnering with fintech solution providers. So it was not just the big players who saw that this was an opportunity to grasp, but also it's now gone to even smaller firms. And we believe that this would really help benefit the industry as a whole. And as with other grant schemes that I've worked on and implemented, this momentum will continue even if there is no longer a subsidy. So it's very encouraging to see the result of the scheme.
And definitely, we have seen the largest number, of POC's ideas falling under the SFC's, jurisdictions. And some of the things that we hear from the market is, they are not short of crazy but brilliant ideas, but they are a little bit worried about whether they are allowed under the regulatory environment. And with this POC, definitely with some of the advisors from the advisory panel and also endorsement from FSTB, they are very, very happy to try out all these new innovations. And from the banking sector, what do you see?
I think they have mentioned a lot of the points. I just add a couple more. I think it is not about the money, right? It's all about the, Elizabeth have rightfully pointed out, it's like a catalyst. We see incumbents are willing to work with the startups. In the old days, that's the most difficult part. It's the most difficult part I heard from the startup is to get the first reference. When they have the first reference case, they can sell the process to others. But the first one is always the difficult part. And with this scheme, because it's supported by the FSTB, by the government, and also by the regulators, the four major regulators, that gives the incumbents, our regulators, a stronger signal that it is okay to work with the startups. And I'm not sure you have told the story about this POC scheme. It's actually arising from the pandemic. When we look at the situation of the startups over the past couple of years, we worked so hard together to bring so many startups, and they're willing to start their business here in Cyberport or Science Park. But we worry that they cannot survive through the pandemic. And that's why we try to think about what kind of support we can offer to them. But at that time when we discussed, we believe that it's not useful to give them a fish. It's better to teach them how to fish. So that's why we proposed this to the FSTP, and luckily that it got through, and now we have these POC schemes. Hopefully we can have more of this POC scheme, and I'm sure that Cyberport can continue to help us through this journey.
Thank you, Nelson. Yes, we are definitely close partners, working day in, day out together, for the development of fintech for Hong Kong. So let's not stop here, Nelson. I understand that, in June, Hong Kong MA has issued the FinTech 2025, right, strategy. So what is Hong Kong MA going to do? What kind of initiatives under this strategy that you plan, to support the development of fintech, and also what kind of fintech areas that particular is of interest, to MA from the whole industry development perspective?
Sure. I'll keep it short because there are 18 initiatives under the framework, and they are all under different pillars. There are altogether 5 pillars. Today, perhaps. Last time when I sit here, I share about the why we have this strategy, and I just pointed out that it's more a forward guidance for our regulators to move faster. And the whole thing is to provide, to ensure demand, and you guys can provide the supply. And if you want us to point out just one particular important element of the strategy, I will talk about the data infrastructure. Because we think that with good financial infrastructure, we can connect the supply to the demand. And then it will kind of replicate and create a positive feedback loop, and then things will go from there. So we want to basically to connect the 2 ecosystems to make sure the supply and demand will continue to develop.
Okay, so let's turn gear a little bit. For insurance company Tony, we've actually seen fintech adoptions, in the insurance sectors, especially during the epidemic, because all these agents cannot see the clients face to face. Could you share with us IA strategies to further drive the development of fintech in the insurance sector?
Being an insurance regulator for the insurance industry, as well as a facilitator for the sustainable market development of the industry, we are always in our heart to think about how to go further for the industry, to go for more insurtech application and development, and also making things more interconnected and to the market and create the synergies. So as I mentioned, we see that the open API technology will facilitate system interface as well as the system data exchange. So to this, we are exploring developing an open API framework to enable greater collaboration between insurers, third-party service provider, as well as the regulators. So we believe that the implementation of an open API framework will facilitate data sharing, and also with all the data interface within and outside the insurance sector. And we hope to see that more partnership between the insurers and the tech company to co-develop and deliver seamless insurance services, and ultimately give rise to a more vibrant insurtech ecosystem. So in addition, we also believe technologies such as machine learning, AI, and RegTech solutions could offer significant opportunity for the insurance players and to improve the compliance, streamline cooperation, and promote innovations. So we will also encourage insurance companies to leverage more technology solutions to meet the forthcoming regulatory requirements, especially for the upcoming risk-based capital regime, the ESG disclosures, as well as the fulfillment ratio presentation that will be launched by the IA. the more collaborative efforts between the tech companies and the insurance players, the better the synergies will be created into the insurance market. So we believe that the interplay between the tech company and the insurance player will serve as the growth momentum for insurtech development, and also to create innovative ideas that cater market needs and address industry challenges. So just head-ups for all of you. Our CEO, Mr. Clement Cheung, will deliver a keynote speech this Thursday morning in the Hong Kong FinTech Week to share more about the IA's upcoming strategy in the insurtech development.
And Elizabeth, we have all heard about this exciting Wealth Connect policy. So people are really looking forward to see what Hong Kong as an international financial hub is going to offer in terms of financial investment products. So from a perspective, how fintech could actually help develop all these interesting financial products, and at the same time, while we are trying to be as innovative as possible, how do you manage the balance between the risk and innovation, please?
Well, in terms of Wealth Management Connect, because it's a connect scheme between the Hong Kong and the mainland. So the first thing I could think of is that in terms of fintech, you could employ would be for KYC and AML, because now it would be Hong Kong banks would need to onboard mainland investors who maybe probably never had any connection with Hong Kong. So I think from that angle, more fintech solutions could be developed. In terms of innovation, the SFC has always been very supportive of fintech to enhance investor experience and to ensure compliance, for example. And we're particularly supportive if it promotes better investor choices and also financial inclusion. So back in 2017, we conducted a consultation and introduced the guidelines for online distribution and advisory platforms. This was indeed to support the growth of robo-advisors, which we saw would be a key development in Hong Kong. And we're happy to say that we've licensed quite a few robo-advisors, and we have ongoing applications that we're handling. We think that it was also very timely because in light of COVID and all the work from home policies, we've actually seen an investor shift in their behavior from investing in investment products going to bank branches, and now they've switched to the online mode. So I think we will continue to support the industry, and we hope that we provide timely regulatory guidance and also a clear regulatory framework. However, we also note that there are new risks that emerge from fintech solutions, and one clear and good example would be in the virtual asset space. So the SFC has been monitoring the developments in the virtual asset space since 2017, and indeed we've issued numerous circulars, and also we've also initiated regulatory frameworks to govern virtual asset fund managers and also virtual asset trading platforms. So we believe that clear regulatory guidance is the key for a healthy development of the fintech industry. So we will continue our efforts in this regard, and we hope to come up with new regulatory responses as new risks emerge.
Thank you, Elizabeth. So John, I understand that you guys are working very hard, on your Empf platform. Can you tell us a little bit more about, what the platform is for, and when it's going to be launched, and possibly how we can make use of all this fintech, to support your MPF scheme members, please.
Okay. Thank you, Eric. Thank you for your question, which I think is very good for me to make use of this opportunity to talk to you all about the Empf platform, which is the biggest ever reform in the MPF space. The Empf platform aims to address the problem of decentralized mode of MPF system, cumbersome MPF scheme administration processes, proliferation of MPF accounts, and the high volume of paper-based transactions. All these have contributed to high scheme administration costs and fragmented user experience over the years, and which in turn actually demotivate the scheme members from actively managing their MPF. So in future, the EMPF platform will aim to centralize the scheme administration. We'll take up as much scheme administration as possible from the trustees. And going forward, we members and employers can log into the platform and handle all their MPF matters in one place. We are now working very hard on the platform, nearly working 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. We hope to complete the building of this platform as soon as possible so that the trustees can start their onboarding to the platform one by one starting in 2023. There shall be around a 24 months migration period. So once all the 13 MPF scheme trustees have migrated, onboarded to the platform will become fully functional in around 2025. Yes, definitely, the platform will leverage many fintech facilities. Actually, the EMPF platform aims to recast the MPF ecosystem, enabling full digitalization and straight-through processing. EKYC, for example, EKYC facility will be used for members to register with the platform or to log into the EMPF platform. This is somewhat like what we do when we open an account in virtual banks. We scan our Hong Kong ID card, we take a selfie picture at different directions. And alternatively, members can also make use of the IM Smart facility to do the registration and log in. As most of you know, the IM Smart is a government smart city initiative which aims to promote a single place of login to access various online services. There will be chatbot facilities to answer customer inquiries. The employers can in future make use of the fast payment system to make contributions. And another features we are exploring is to have the platform come up with some API facility so that the employers can make use of their payroll software to generate the contribution data, which will be automatically fed into the EMPF platform. So I think as the EMPF platform comes closer to fruition, I will see a multiplier effect to the fintech industry. And the MPF employers and the MPF players could well seize this opportunity to embark on their own digital transformation journey in order to move in sync with the platform. So we see plenty of business opportunities out there for the fintech professionals in Hong Kong. Thank you, Eric.
Thank you, John. So I think I'll just have one last question from me before I open, the panel to the floor. So the last question I want to ask, all of you as regulators and so close to the industry, what kind of, fintech areas that we should pay attention to, looking forward, right? Especially from your perspective areas, right? Maybe we start from Nelson?
Sure. 2 points. I mentioned about for the banking sector, they move a little bit earlier. So they are moving from just client-facing related applications back to a little bit more on the RegTech side. So I believe those are the areas that they will focus in coming years. So, just an analogy, in the old days, they look into the top line. Now they need to look into the bottom line to ensure that they're not just getting revenues without, generating a lot of profit. So, a lot of technologies behind that, underlying those RegTech solutions like the RPA, the natural language processing, all those, you name it, will be of good use. And the other area, I think we cannot ignore the GBA, which will be the subject of the next panel. But we are talking about just one point. We're talking about bringing New York and San Francisco together. So because Hong Kong, Shenzhen, we all know that one is financial center, one is tech center. And we are so close to each other. If the border is reopened, I think a lot of innovation can go through.
Yeah, definitely, from the banking sector, not just from revenue, we should also look into costs. And as far as I understand, all these RegTech and all these compliance requirements, people are spending millions, if not billions, on making sure that they are complied, with all the latest compliance requirement. So, Elizabeth,
From the securities perspective, I think one space we need to really pay attention to would be virtual assets. In particular, we've seen growing interest in security token offerings, and we're talking about true security token offerings. So we as the SFC will be looking into how we regulate this new space, how we should regulate this kind of offerings, and how or if they could be offered to retail investors, for example. Another development would be virtual asset-related investment products. So we've seen various regulators around the world. They've already approved Bitcoin ETFs, for example. So these now have become a route for retail investors to invest into, or at least gain exposure to virtual assets. So we think this is also a very important development, and we understand that a lot of financial institutions are already looking into offering virtual asset-related investment products. We do note that there are a lot of difficult issues involved in really allowing distribution of such products. And as with our previous regulatory philosophy in regulating virtual asset trading platforms, we will tend to adopt a regulatory approach that will regulate same risk and same business. So on this basis, we hope that we will be able to come up with a proportionate regulatory response soon so that we could provide clearer guidance to the industry and further facilitate development.
Thank you. Thank you, Elizabeth. Tony?
Yes. I think in the past 2 years over the pandemic, we see that people has been more adapt to the technology, say, for example, for video conferencing, online shopping, or even e-learnings. So with this social distancing, we see that the insurance companies start to realize that they need to invest more into the resources in technology development here. So with this behavioral change of customer, we see that there should be a close collaboration between different stakeholders, the startup, the tech company, the third-party service provider, together with the insurance players to develop the insurance solution through technology and also bring the customer to the level of digitalization process journey and journey here. So basically, technology will help build up a very good ecosystem and also the infrastructure for cross-entity as well as the cross-sectoral business proposition here. So we do see that through this more collaboration with the different stakeholders, there will be a new wave of innovation through technology in the insurance sector.
And John, please.
I think cybersecurity is very important. Let me also take the Empf platform as an example. The Empf platform will handle over 300,000 employers, more than 4 million MPF scheme members with over 10 million MPF scheme accounts scattered in 27 MPF schemes in 13 MPF trustees. So I think this background would provide a very fertile ground for the hackers to do the bad things. So I think on the one hand, we have to design our Empf platform to be very simple, easy to use, with a very beautiful UI to attract the employers and the members to go digital at the platform. But on the other hand, we cannot make any sort of compromise on the security aspect, as any sort of security incidents would severely undermine the public's confidence in the MPF system. In the Empf space, our Empf contractor actually need to put in place the multi-layered security mechanism to protect the platform from cyber attacks. For example, the multi-layered firewalls, the intrusion prevention detection system, application level security control, and data encryption, so on and so forth, will be adopted to protect the Empf platform network. Thank you.
Thank you. So let me just go and check, all these, questions, coming in. I've got an interesting one, to you, to the panel, is, to stay competitive, as a international financial hub. What are the core capabilities that our financial talents should develop? Right, that's a very relevant question. Right, so. Maybe start from Nelson. I understand that you have done a lot in talent cultivation.
Yeah, we started actually again together with you guys and the career the FinTech career acceleration scheme. accelerator scheme. So it's FCAS in short. So we have done the talent development for quite a number of years. I think I'm not going to bore you with all these tech jargons, what you need to learn. I think it's more your mentality. I think it's very different nowadays than before. Things happen so quickly, and you have to relearn, you have to unlearn, and all that cycles. So just taking an example of my office, I have 20-something staff, and they are actually from different disciplines. Some are engineer like yourself, and some are marketing people. Some are very, very technical. We have a PhD in crypto. But we also have someone who have no finance and no technology background. Because we need all these of people, right? We have a lawyer, we have an accountant, we have all sorts of people so that we can have create new ideas. So in terms of the future need of talent, I think it's more how passionate you are to solve a problem. Because fintech is all about problem solving. We always talk about pain points. We identify pain points in the incumbent sector, and then we have the new guys, the startups, to solve those problems. So these are the problem-solving skills. So no matter what disciplines you are in, you are also relevant. The most important thing is you have to keep on learning.
I understand that MPFA has also done quite a lot on talent cultivations. And maybe, John, you can share a few.
Yeah, I think financial services are actually increasingly looking for talents with cross-disciplinary expertise. As technology has become an inseparable part of financial services, I think the financial talents, of course, they need to be tech-savvy. As the world is changing so fast nowadays, the talents need to keep abreast of the rapid evolving of the industry landscape. Knowledge such as big data or cybersecurity is definitely very advantageous. On the soft skills wise, I agree with Nelson that it is important to keep a constant strive for self-improvement. Because in the future, one cannot only succeed by just following procedures or work according to a very structural framework. They have to be innovative, have to be creative, have to have good communication skills, and I think they also must have a can-do attitude in order to overcome any future challenges in uncertain areas. And I think finally, because Hong Kong is an international financial center, and we have a closer and closer linkage to mainland. So I think having a very good command of English and Putonghua is definitely critical in the future fintech or financial services industry.
Okay, thank you, John. And maybe I'll move to another question. It's also very relevant. It's about RegTech. You know, we talk about RegTech. And actually, RegTech proposal is actually one of the very popular topic, you know, under the POC schemes. So we have talked about using RegTech for compliance, you know, kind of automations, you know, make sure, you know, all these internal policy, right, are followed. But it's a question about whether we can actually make use of this RegTech, you know, from a more kind of inter-exchange perspective, like, you know, applications to or submissions to regulators, you know, on various different you know, kind of proposal applications for licensing or other relevant areas. So maybe, you know, from regulator perspective, have you thought of, you know, using RegTech solutions to facilitate a more efficient submission processes, you know, for the, you know, healthy development of the finance industry as a whole? Anyone?
So maybe I start. So
yeah.
I think the term RegTech is technology that will help as for the financial institution to do the regulatory compliance in an efficient and accurate way. So we see that for the say for the insurance sector, we are going to launch a number of regulatory initiatives. As I mentioned in my presentation here, we are going to launch the risk-based capital that will come up to a large volume of the data submission as compared with the current regulatory regime. So, of course, there will be some compliance issue about the AML. So the IM Smart is also a very powerful tool to help the insurance player to adopt this infrastructure to do the compliance issue. So within the IA, we are having our 5-year IT strategy, and we'll work together with the insurance associated, the Hong Kong FI, and the insurance player to engage about how the solutions or how the initiative that IA will help the industry to go with the journey of the increasing demand of the regulatory requirement here, and to adopt the technology to do all sorts of the compliance in an efficient manner.
Thank you.
Maybe I can also jump in. Thanks, Tony. You know, it's a tough question that you take the first hit. And we divide the 3 tags in FinTech, RegTech, and SupTech. FinTech is more the customer-facing. The RegTech is how the regulators ensure compliance using technology, and SupTech is the technologies that we supervisors use. I think we refer to your question is about how the data submission can be done in a more effective way using technology. I think for most of us, we are already collecting those data in machine readable format, except for a number of new sort of returns. We still rely on older technology, but in most cases, most of the returns are submitted using technology-enabled solutions. But I think now what people are talking about making it even more easier for financial institutions to submit the data, or whether regulators can get into access those data by ourselves, instead of requesting the financial institution to build a system and to collate all this information from various systems and send it to us. So API, Tony mentioned about open API, that could be possible, and we are working on it. One of our department is actually looking into how to get granular data from the authorized institutions. And in terms of SupTech, again, we are a big promoter of that. We have embarked a journey to revamp some of our existing systems and make it more forward compatible.
In terms of the SFC, we are looking into really improving our e-application process. So, for example, licensing will be introducing a new e-application process, which will start next year in 2022. And I know other departments are also doing the same thing. So with these new e-application systems, we hope that it would be able to plug into and complement other SupTech that we're actually using already. And we also constantly collect data, and we do a lot of monitoring. So as a regulator, we are also looking into SupTech, which is actually maybe the other side of RegTech, which we use this, probably we may actually use the same systems that the industry is also using. So we are looking into it, and we are using a combination of different technologies in our day-to-day work already.
Okay. Thank you, Elizabeth. And John, is it part of the Empf platform that you will make use of this?
Yeah, I think in the future Empf platform, as the information will be all centralized in the platform, it's very easy to get the information or to facilitate the submission of MPF information to the regulator MPFA. But even before the Empf platform is in place, we actually very welcome the MPF trustees and the MPF intermediaries, like the insurance agents, brokers, to submit their returns, to pay the annual fees using the electronic portal we make available in our website. I think they're free to devise their own RegTech to facilitate their submission to the MPFA. And even for the trustees themselves, we also have been in past years have been encouraging them to do things like submit returns, submit applications in electronic means. Thank you, Eric.
Thank you. And I think we're running out of time. And so with that, I'll call this an end, to our panel. And thank you so much for insightful sharing. And definitely we will continue to work with all of you, to foster the development of fintech for Hong Kong. And with the support of FSTB, we are looking at possibly extending, the POC for another round, if possible. So we will be working together with you very closely. Thank you so much, and thank you all for attending this session. Thank you.